attitude. We need swagger, okay? Regardless of what happens out there. Doesn't matter. Keep your swagger. Keep your swagger.
Hey, sorry, I couldn't figure out how to do that. Welcome to 5-Hole Fantasy Hockey. I'm your host today, TJ Branson, chilling in Phoenix, Arizona. It's getting late, guys, for me. So, unfortunately, I couldn't wait for Raj. And Maddie's in Vegas. So we are not doing a regular week preview. It's just me hanging out. It's going to be real casual, but I've got all the goods for you, man. So we're going to be taking a look at this week. And I even got this cute little schedule in the video if you guys are digging it. Let me do all the normal stuff. Usually I have people here keeping me on track. Let me think. I already did welcome. Right. What am I missing, guys? Oh, if you guys want to find us on Twitter, we're at FHF Hockey. We got the Fantasy Hockey Discord if you guys want to hop in. Yeah. Let's talk about the Week 3 preview, man. The top performances. I am in the Fantasy Puck Content Creators League. Sam Reinhart will not stop scoring. I got him on the team. I got Batherson. They're crushing it. And sorry, Don, it doesn't look good for you. I am killing it in that league right now. About to go 2-0 as long as tomorrow stays on my side. Sam Reinhart crushing it. Like I said, Panarin's looking good. Evgeny Malkin, out of nowhere, he's one of the highest rated and highest added guys over the last week. And rightfully so. I mean, Pittsburgh had a great schedule, so that made a ton of sense. But now you also got the performance to back it up. So people are starting to pay attention. Center only is going to be tough, and he's one of those guys that, like, you feel bad dropping him. So, I mean, if he keeps this kind of stuff up, you're not going to be dropping him. But what else are you going to do? You're going to drop one of your other centers. Centers are deep. Centers are often pretty good. So not sure what's going to happen there. Let me get my notes up, guys. It's a weird one. I've got some whiskey here if anybody's joining me in the chat. In terms of having a nice little Saturday night here. Lots of hockey on today. Anthony Duclair just got hurt, so I'm waiting to see what's happening there. Checking in on last week's streamers. Maddie crushed it. Casey Middlestat and Leo Carlson were his two picks. Mitz put up 3 goals, 1 assist, 2 power play points, 14 shots on goal, 4 hits, 2 blocks. Like, it doesn't stop. Absolutely the pick of the week, Casey Mitz. You got to give it to Maddie. 2 solid wins. Leo backing it up with 2 goals and an assist, 10 shots on goal, 2 hits, 2 blocks. Friggin' awesome. I had Alex Laferriere and Anthony Beauvillier. Beauvillier did fuck all, but Laferriere looked good. He did get moved down to line 3. Quentin Byfield up on line 1 right now. So he still did the job. He did what I needed him to do that week, and appreciate it. Bo, like I said, fuck all. 6 shots on goal, 5 hits. Nothing. Raj had Nola Shari, Sam Girard, and Ricky Rax, and Rickard Rackle was just about the only one that did anything. Shari had 2 assists, a bunch of hits. Girard did fuck all, and Ricky did. He had 3 goals, 10 shots, and some hits and blocks. So, giving this one to Maddie. I'll take last week, and Maddie's got this week. Mitz is just, I mean, that's huge. And then Leo, like, even his backup pick was stellar. Getting into this week, man, just some storylines to follow. Quick ones. Rucker McGrady got sent to the AHL. Grass isn't always greener, but a lot of people had him lining up with Crosby, and that would have been rad, right? Like, when we think about prospects coming into the NHL, literally the only thing we see is ceiling. So you put a ceiling next to Sidney Crosby, and the hype factor was there. And it just, I guess Mike Sullivan didn't see it. Somebody didn't see it, but he's in the AHL now. Val Nichushkin in Colorado, eligible November 12th from his suspension. I'm pretty sure I got those days right. Kaapo Kähkönen in Colorado too, sorting out his visa stuff. It's already sorted out, and the Avs are going to be taking all 3 goalies onto the road with them. Georgiev has been cheeks, Annunen has been cheeks, so it's not looking good for either of those guys. And they're going to be running 3 goalies now, so I really don't know. That sucks because the only thing worse than 2 bad goalies is getting less starts from 2 bad goalies. So here we are with that. And then I guess the same thing could be said with Pittsburgh. Like Jari's been cheeks, and man, I was thinking about it last week. Like Blomqvist came in and he made one huge save, and I was like, damn, like, he could be the answer. 30 seconds later, he gives up such a dumb goal. Like 30 seconds, the whole crowd's on their feet. Everybody's at Blomqvist back, and it's got to feel good to be a Penguins fan. And then they just get scored on immediately. So that's fucked. And Nedeljkovic is back, so Netty's coming. I want to talk about the Preds a little bit. They're 0-5 to start out the season. I've got Yossi in a couple places, and that's been really tough. And he's always kind of my quintessential like relax candidate, because there was 2 years ago people were like, fuck, I'm dropping Yossi, and that's not the move. It's never the move. Cold streaks happen. So they had the biggest offseason. New Jersey's up there. Chicago had a pretty good offseason, but you think about Stamkos in March or so, maybe this is just such a different team, and that they're figuring out like the new chemistry that they have to kind of put together. But it's not like Nashville has ever been like, there hasn't been a ton of continuity. It went from like the Yofa line, what do they call it? With Johansson, Forsberg, and there's like a fucking carnival over there. There's 2 gigantic, what are those things called? Ferris wheels. And it's distracting the fuck out of me. Maybe there's 3. It's nuts out here in Phoenix, guys. So on Nashville, they're not looking good, and that's trickling down to UC Saros, who's supposed to be, a top 3 goalie going into it. But we're seeing a lot of goalies right now. I don't know. I feel like I haven't seen a lot of goalies coming out being great. Philip Gustafsson's one example that I can think of right off the top. Like Shilov's had a bad start. Lankinen's looked, good, but not great. Stuart Skinner. I mean, Edmonton on the whole is brutal. Like Draisaitl got benched the other night, and then he went on to score the game winner. Yeah, I mean, I guess Stolarz is killing it. Woll is back, so I mean, I don't know if the net is going to get a little bit split. Maybe he's not back, but he's practicing, and like you can get hurt at practice. So we'll see what happens with Woll. Like if the longevity's there. Did he shut out Circler? Did he shut out my fucking Flyers? That sucks, man. I'm glad Raj in here. Fuck that. I'm not talking about the Vancouver Canucks. But yeah, if he looked great. So Circler in the chat here is saying that Lankinen looked great tonight. I wasn't watching that game. 3-zip shutout for Vancouver. So, I mean, that's solid. So there's a couple goalies out there. But like I'm thinking, Jari, Georgiev, Saros, Hellebuck's doing his thing. But he was like the first goalie off the board. Shesterkin's looking good. They beat out Toronto tonight. So, I don't know what to make of it. And then you add 2 3-headed goalie monsters that are going to wind up in Colorado and Pittsburgh. Like, why? Just why, I guess, is what I'm getting at. And then the Predators, falling back to them. I really want to see them get going, but things are going to take time. Like, we're 5 games in to the Predators season. So panicking, and this is, we're in week 3. We can start to panic. We can start to think about panicking, I think. But guys like Yossi and Forsberg and these high caliber dudes, we're not going to be panicking. Like, it's just straight up not going to happen. Even if it's game 82 and they're still on a coaster, like, these are guys you can't drop. So we're waiting it out on those. Maybe it's a buy low situation for you. Man, I saw this guy on Reddit who was taking his league through a fucking loop. Like he must have had every sell high candidate on his team, but he turned it. If you guys go check out r/fantasy hockey, there's one dude who throws like 3 back to back to back, like 4-for-4 trades, 3-for-3 trades, and he just flips his entire team into just a team that's not even worth, like, the next 22 weeks are going to be so boring because he's just going to smash. Yeah, it's a good time to do your buy low stuff. Get into the injuries, man. Matty Tkachuk, he's still out sick. He is on track to play Tuesday. Barkov is going to be back before the Panthers go to Finland, and that'll be on November 1st. In Columbus, Kent Johnson is out, not short term, via Dean Evison. I think they call that a long-term injury, but you do you, Dean. Olmark is still out. They're just kind of taking that one day by day. Slafkovsky came back. I think he did some stuff tonight because my score, sorry, Don, my score will not stop going up. Yeah, it's insane. Let's see what Slafkovsky did. Sorry, this is terrible video and radio, but I'm curious. And I love my fantasy hockey team. 2 assists, 1 on the power play. Like, Slav is such a fun own this year. So much fun. Darcy Kemper's on IR. Alex Nedeljkovic, I kind of already brought that one up. Jackson Lacombe, intermittent Anaheim QB1. He should be back soon. William Eklund is back, and then he wasn't. And I don't know what's happening there. Will Smith looks to be getting load management type season ahead of him. Like, he's in and out of the lineup. I'm not sure what's happening there. Big one is Sean Dursey, man. Out, like, what do they say, 5 to 6 months? That's nuts. Absolute nuts. Artem Zub got a conky, so he's going to be out a week. Matt Roy, day-to-day with a lower body injury. Celebrini's still out for the road trip. And Yegor Sharangovich, week to week on IR. I love saying it that way. Don't judge me. Frank Vetrano had a fucking kid, and he's on my goddamn roster. Idiot. Anyway, he's back, and congrats. Ryan Hartman is out with an upper body injury. Devon Tays traveling with the team. Vince Dunn still day-to-day. Anthony Duclair, that one's coming out of the woodwork as it happens. Now we'll see if boys over at Game Day News, Game Day Tweets put anything out about this one. Nothing yet. Supposed to have 3 tips for the week, but Maddie's in Vegas living it up. Raj is working late over. I think he's doing rinkside tonight for Vancouver. So they're playing the game. Circular was just talking like the game must have just ended. So Raj is going to be busy working rinkside. If you guys want to check out rinkside, throw him a like and subscribe over there. That would help him out at his real job. My tip for the week, and this is going to be really out of left field for me. You look at the week. I've got the schedule up here on the video. It's a terrible week for streaming. Terrible. There are like, there's one game on Monday, and it's Toronto and Tampa. So, like, the guys that you're going to be able to get, Nick Paul, like, Matthew Nyes, I like, OEL, I like, and it's just, that's for one game. Like, there's no real week-long holds when it comes to skaters. I think the best option for a week-long hold, and I'll get into this when we start to break down the schedule, but I think it's New Jersey. Like, they have 2 off nights, and then they have Thursday, which is like a half off night, because there's 9 teams playing. So maybe 2.5 off nights. So, like, are you going to be doing week-long holds? No, I think we're going to be doing spot starts. And my tip of the week for this week is you want to set your lineups before you make your ads. Like, if you go through and you're like, all right, I'm going to add, Paul Cotter, make sure you got room for Paul Cotter, because the heavy nights are fucking heavy. And the off nights are super light. So if you do, like, you're going to have room for him on 2 games for sure, or 2 nights, but, like, are you going to have room for him on that Thursday game? You don't know. So, burning these kind of ads might be unwise. And, like, your main roster is going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting. You're going to see some guys that you don't want to bench on the bench. Is next week, I think I have, like, Nietzsche's benched. And usually what I do is I set my lineup for the week, and then I see who's spending time on the bench, and then I identify those guys as my drops for streamers. Like, if somebody's not playing on my roster, those are obviously the guys that are first up for your cuts. I think this is a bad week to treat your roster like that. Your opponents are going to be in the same boat as you. Like, this is not a bad streaming week just for you. This is going to be a bad streaming week for your opponent too. So, like, this is mostly going to be spot starts and main roster versus main roster. So this is going to be one of those weeks where your draft is really going to shine through, or anybody that you've identified as a long-term hold early on in the season, whether it be somebody like a Paul Cotter or Jonathan Huberdeau, Alex Leferrier, guys that have just kind of like come out of the woodwork and might be a little too good to drop at this point. Raji's still going. His ETA was like an hour, 20 minutes ago. So I was like, nah, man, I'm going. I've been up since like 4 a.m. I left Philly and now I'm in Phoenix and I got to be up at 7 in the morning. So I'm doing this. It's getting done. So I know I went early and all that stuff, but it's getting done. So yeah, back to the tip of the week. Your roster is going to be like you don't have availability for streaming, but neither does your opponent. Like this is not a week that's only affecting you. It's going to affect your opponent too. So he's not going to be able to stream and you're not going to be able to stream efficiently, at least. Like you're going to be able to do these spot starts that I'm going to get into a little later. But I do have a tip of the week that's like really outside my comfort zone. And I'm going to get to it. Getting into the schedule breakdown. If you guys check out the schedule that I got on the YouTube, on the live Twitter that I don't know how to turn off. Thank you, Raj. Games count per day. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You got one game on Monday. You got one game on Wednesday, 4 games on Friday, 4 games on Sunday. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about like the Monday and the Wednesday so that the guys for the weekend preview have something to talk about with these Friday, Sunday streams. But the games played leaders, it's Philly, New Jersey, Detroit, Tampa, and Toronto. Those are the 5 teams that have 4 games. That's it. The off night leaders with 2 off nights is New Jersey, Philadelphia, Edmonton, and Ottawa. In terms of who has the best, like the easiest schedule in terms of opponents, I think I'd put Detroit up there. They got Buffalo and Edmonton. Edmonton, yeah, they have a high-powered offense, but their defense hasn't been doing anything. It's just been Swiss cheese nonstop. So I think that presents a good chance for Detroit to put some points up too if you got some of their skaters. Philly's going to see Washington twice and then Montreal in terms of like their easier opponents. Minnesota is going to be a bit of a tough one. Philly's also got 2 back-to-backs, so that I know Samuel Urson is like 22% rostered and Fedotov has to be a lot lower than that. So you can get 2 starts if you pick up one of those guys. Toronto's got Columbus and St. Louis, but those are on heavy nights. So Thursday, like kind of a heavy night. So that's kind of where I want to lead off with in terms of who I'm targeting for the streamers. But in the worst schedules, let's get these out of the way. It's half the fucking league. Boston, Calgary, like what's the point of me spouting these guys off? It's so many teams. Just check out the schedule. This little snippet is from the game grid that I built up on the 5-hole site. Pretty cool. I'm working on a couple things for this one. Like if you go to the game grid right now, it's supposed to show the odds of each game, like the likelihood of that team winning. And somewhere over the offseason, like the API for the NHL changed and I think it broke. And I have no idea where it broke. So I'm just like building a new one. And it's pretty cool. I think you guys are going to like it. So it's been frustrating the hell out of me for the last 3 days. And I can't wait to get it out there. I think I have like 2 more days worth of work on it and I should be able to push it. The worst schedules straight up Buffalo, Columbus, and Vancouver. And you know what? I think at the end of the episode here, like I'll do the outro and stuff. If you want to keep hanging around, I'll take you through like the dicking around of the site and show you some of the cool stuff I'm working on. The waiver wire. So our ad drop segment. I had some guys in here that I wanted to bounce off the guys, and as you can tell, there's no guys here with me. So I kind of just want to get. This is maybe like a calling card. I'll put it out to you guys. You guys can chirp me on Twitter. You can get at me in the Discord. But I think this would be a good conversation to have because where are we at with guys like Georgiev, with Aaron Ekblad, with Jake DeBrusk, Circler? If you're still hanging out, like Jake DeBrusk, from what I heard, had gotten moved down to the bottom 6. So is he somebody that, people are starting to put on their chopping block? Aaron Ekblad, I've seen him dropped. He winds up Yahoo's like most dropped players. And then some of the guys that I have on my watch list, somebody that I would have firmly in, I have 2 guys that are on my watch list and 2 guys that are firmly in long-term holds. Unfortunately, Ross Colton is not owned by me in any league that I'm in, but if I, if he was, he'd be there. 12,000 ads yesterday, up to 35% rostered Ross Colton. And he really, like, he shoved it up, dude. All right. Circler is a Boston fan, so it's not going to happen for DeBrusque. Ross Colton, like he was just chugging points this weekend, so it's obvious why he's getting picked up all over the place. And it's fun to chase points that already happened, but this is a case of points that I think will continue to happen. The deployment's fantastic, so you really cannot beat what Ross Colton can give you right now. So he's somebody that I'm holding until that deployment changes, and that deployment's not going to change until the performance changes. So it's his to lose. I think that's one guy that you want to hold on to. If he was bottom of your roster, you got to find somebody else to put bottom of your roster. Jonathan Huberdeau, man, on a bit of a heater. He's had nothing but bad schedules, so there is a chance that you can still go out and get him because it's been tough to own him. I think Calgary's had 2 back-to-back 2-game weeks, and he's just been one of those guys that, like, yeah, he's good, but is he worth having on the bench doing nothing 3 days in a row? So maybe he's out there for you. I dropped Sagan for him last week to get a couple games, and then I'm just going to hold him. I'm just going to see what happens. 2 guys on my watch list, man. You guys, you should tune in to Philip Broberg. And it's not super exciting, but just what he's been able to do lately, like 6-game point streak. Last time I checked, he had 1 assist tonight. That's assists in 5 straight. And in his 6th game, he had a goal. 22-01 time on ice. He assisted on the lone goal in his last game. When I was writing this, the game was still going on, so I wonder what his time on ice was tonight. Shot volume is super low, and the time on ice has not been sustained. So it's one of those that, like, I think watch list is as far as I'm willing to go with Broberg right now. Like, roster, yeah, if it's a good night or if there's nobody else out there, chances are good that I might be able to get an assist out of him, but it's just like, it's not one of those things that it's a safe bet yet, but it has not stopped. Like, 6-game point streak, that's nuts. So Ryan in the chat here saying Zari or Zuccarello. Is that like long-term hold guys or somebody I don't know if he's doing like an ad drop thing here. If it's ad drop, you got to tell me more about your league. Jonathan Huberdeau, somebody I'm holding on to. Like, I think there's sustained viability there. Alex Laferriere, he was a long-term hold until I saw, like, Byfield switched up to line 1. And I wonder if that's just like the Los Angeles Kings kind of being desperate to get something going. Like, defense has been really leaky and the offense hasn't yet been able to, like, really get going. So I wondered if moving Byfield up was kind of a catalyst to try and get that to start to happen. In the offseason, they were talking about Byfield. They want to get him at center. So I don't know if I see it as like a long-term, like a permanent thing. So I do kind of see Laferriere getting back there. This could be a good chance. Like, for me, after this week's up, I'm going to drop him. Just, there's no point. He was good for the week. So, especially on the third line. So watch list, I think, is where Laferriere should be right now. Zari. Yeah. Okay. So Ryan got back to me in the chat here. Long-term ads. I think both of them are viable, like Zuccarello and Zari. Zari's looked really good. Pospisil's look really good. Calgary is hard to buy into as a whole, but they have not stopped doing it. And they are, they've come out and said, like, they want to buy. So they're like, they're capitalizing on this hot start. Like, they really want to get things going. Like, the Flames are looking to add. So this surprising hot start, they're trying to make this success long-term success. And I don't blame them. All right. Single day streamers, because I want to get to the point where I really think the value of this week is. Monday, Toronto and Tampa. That's the only game he got out there. OEL, I think, should be owned by anyone that sees him first in a 12-team or like even a 10-team league. Like, just for Monday, I think is solid. I think in an 8-team league, it's been a while since I've been in one, but I remember how stacked they were. It's like, I might even want him in one of those leagues. QB1 of Toronto. The average time on ice is stellar. 3 assists, not counting what happened tonight. I'm not sure. I think it was a 4-1 game New York took. So I don't know if he got in on anything, but he's had 15 shots in his last 4 outside tonight. 3 assists there. No power play points yet. But this is Berube's team. And, what Mike Babcock used to do and what Sheldon Keefe used to do on Toronto is not necessarily what's going to happen in this Toronto. So everything has to kind of be taken with like a grain of salt, I guess. Like, what does Berube want to do with this team? Is OEL going to be his guy? We're going to see. Matthew Nyes is also somebody I'm looking at, 27% rostered, great deployment, top 6 times, some top power play time here and there. Bobby McMahon, I think it's worth saying his name just because he's been doing well. I'm not sure how much I buy into it in terms of, whether he's going to be able to do it on Monday specifically. But, if anybody, like, you're not picking up the big boys. So I think for me, like, OEL would be my number 1 pickup. Nyes would be 2. Bobby McMahon might be there. And to be honest with you, I think I might even have, like, I don't know, a banger ahead of Bobby McMahon. I'm in a couple points leagues where bangs are weighted pretty heavy. So, you get a couple hits and blocks out of a guy and he winds up giving you as much points as a goal and an assist would. Wednesday, there's one game and it's a Philly-Washington game. Morgan Frost is the guy that we should be looking at. And Jamie Drysdale, I think, are 2 guys that are worth talking about in Philly. I also want to 66% own Matt V. Michkov. It might be last call on Michkov because 66% rostered. Philly has one of the best schedules this week. I really do think he's going to get gobbled up in a big way for this week. And it's like, if he's out there and somebody winds up with him, I feel like he's not going to be on a lot of waiver wires for the rest of the season. In terms of what's going on in Washington that you can pick up against the Flyers, which I think is a really good play. Dylan Strome's out there. PLD, not a ton in terms of like, I think Dylan Strome would be my number 1 pickup, center only. So it's like, it's Strome versus Frost, really. And who do you want to pick up? For me, it's pretty even. I'll be honest with you. It's hard to pick. I think what the tiebreaker is peripherals. Like if you're counting them or not, like Dylan Strome doesn't do peripherals like at all, but he's scoring, which is nice. Like 2 power play points, 4 points through his first 3 games. I think there's a good chance that things are going to happen. Marty Febs, man. Marty Febs is your banger, like hard stop. If you're looking for somebody on Wednesday, 10 blocks, 10 hits through 3 games. Time on ice is like decent, but who cares? He's going to bang. And that's all we're out there. Like, that's all we want him for. Circler in the chat has a question, and then I'm going to get to Raj right behind him. Tell me about Drysdale, Mr. Flyers fan. He's 7% owned. Philly has a prime schedule next week. Perfect timing. Apparently has power play won by the Balls, but he doesn't seem to have done anything on the power play. Philly doesn't do anything on the power play, but having that exposure is better than having no power. Like, imagine having a power play 2 guy on any other team, and that's what you get from a power play 1 guy in Philly. So Drysdale is like a I don't know, like not like a Montour was, but I guess like a Forsling or something like that. Like, I think tops 35, 45 points on the year. But what's super cool is he put on like a shit ton of weight, and I think he's like finally healthy. So I do think we get a different kind of season out of him. He's never been one to stay healthy. So if you're looking for like a long-term hold, I don't know if it's really there for you. But for this week, I like Drysdale. D is an easy position to fill because we typically don't carry a lot of bench D, where we get a lot of bench forwards. Raj Panu says, would you pick up Wilson or Duclair or Bennett in a points league long term? Probably Duke, depending on, it would be Duke and Bennett. I don't think Wilson, like if we're talking Tom Wilson, I don't think there's a lot of points that are there. I think a lot of his value comes from the banks. And Duke, Barzell and Horvat. This is all with the caveat that Duke's healthy. Something happened tonight. I think they put up like Holmstrom or something on that top line. So if Duke's healthy, then I would probably go for him. Bennett behind him. Yeah. And to be honest with you, like depending on the severity of a Duke injury, I probably would still have Duke ahead. All right. I want to get into the fun part. So Philly bangers. I want to bring these guys up. Scott Lawton and Garnett Hathaway. I take Fevs over either of them, but I do think if you're looking for a more balanced approach in negotiating this week, Scott Lawton might be your guy. Like there's always some points value there. He goes on like Jean-Gabriel Pageau level point streaks, and he's always got the bang. So that's, I don't know, a little bit of best of both worlds on Wednesday. Because I guarantee people are going to be picking up Morgan Frost at fucking 3 a.m. this morning. Wait, you just wait. There are 14 sets of back-to-backs this week. And this is where I find the value in this week from a streaming perspective, from a week-long hold perspective. If it's one thing this week has, it's back-to-backs. There are 14 sets. That means 28 teams of the 49 games are taking place on a back-to-back. That's like more than a quarter of all the games. Yeah, I think I counted that right. Yeah. This is really weird for me because I think the value for streaming this week is favorable towards goalies, especially if you have a points league where it's rare or hard for a goalie to get negative points. If you're in a categories league where, save percentage, goals allowed, like any qualitative stat has like a big bearing on whether like how your week goes. Like if a bad save percentage game tanks your week, I think this is going to be one that you're going to have to navigate a little more, fine tuned. But if you're in a points league where even a bad performance still gets you like 4 or 5 points, depending on what you're scoring, what that means to you, I think there's a lot of value. Philly's got 2 of them. I talked about Arison. I talked about Fedotov. They got Washington twice. And then they got Minnesota and Montreal. I do think Arison's going to get that Minnesota game. So, I mean, if you're willing to weather that storm, and goalie's another easy one. Like you have 2 goalie spots, and most people run with 2 or 3 goalies. So if you swap out somebody for an Arison, there's a good chance, even on these heavy nights, that he's going to get into your roster. And that's where I think the exploit is this week, is from either your D or from your goalie. Like those open roster spots, even on heavy nights. It's going to be a hard week to find a viable skater too, because the teams that we're talking about, Philly, Edmonton, New Jersey, there's you go to the waiver wire on any one of these teams, and like if Morgan Frost and Dylan Strome are your 2 best options for waiver wire pickups, like, all right, maybe it's time to think about something else. Like, yeah, you're going to get 4 games, but 4 games from somebody who doesn't do a ton versus 2 games from, a goalie. And in the leagues that I'm in, like a average to good goalie performance is like equivalent to a 1 or a 2 goal game. And then if you get a shutout, that's huge. I'm playing against a guy, he got a Markstrom, I think he got a Markstrom shutout. Maybe it was a Markstrom 1 goal allowed win, but it was like 20 points. And Batherson put up 20 points today. So Markstrom, his game was as good as, I think Batherson had like 2 goals and an assist tonight. So anyway, basically what I'm trying to say is I think the value lies in goalies this week. Philly's got 2 back-to-backs. Tampa's got 1, and it's early. They got Toronto and then New Jersey. So that's maybe one that I would pass on. Like if you're looking at Jonas Johansson against New Jersey, that's still not one that I'm really gunning for. Toronto's got Tampa and Columbus. So I love that Columbus pick. Is it going to be Wool? Is it going to be Hildeby? Is it going to be Stolars? Like, do they give Wool Tampa? I don't know. So you really got to keep your ear to the grindstone on this one. Your finger on the pulse. I know it's ear to the ground. New Jersey. Detroit and the Islanders is their back-to-back set. And if Allen plays against Detroit, that's huge. I'm going for that one. Detroit plays Buffalo and Edmonton. And I don't know what's going on in Detroit. Like, I know Husso got waived, so it looks like it's Lyon and Talbot. I kind of like either of those games. Buffalo and Edmonton are two very hard to pinpoint teams right now. So to get in on one of those teams, from a goalie perspective, like, I'm not guaranteeing a win, but those are just as likely as anybody else. Anaheim is going to play the New York Rangers and the Devils. Not interested in either one of them. Chicago is going to play Nashville and Dallas. Maybe the Nashville game, but if there's ever a game for Nashville to turn around, maybe it's Chicago. Montreal has St. Louis and Philly. Nashville's got Chicago and Columbus. This is where I really see some value. Nashville, a team that really needs to turn around. They have a back-to-back set against two really weak teams. And if you can get a Scott Wedgwood against either one of these teams, I think as close to a sure thing to a W as we can get is either from Nashville or Vegas's set of back-to-back. Vegas is going to play Ottawa and San Jose. If you can get Vegas's goalie, whomever it may be that plays San Jose, I think that's as good as a win as you can get. And then whichever one of these games that Wedgwood sees, those are the two games that I'd really be pinpointing in terms of like spot starts or targets to capitalize on some points or some good stats this week. The Islanders have the Jersey Devils and Florida. No thanks. Pittsburgh's got Edmonton and Vancouver. No thanks. And Washington's got that Philly back-to-back. So if Thompson or Lindgren's out there, I think I might be interested in the game that, like, whichever one Fedotov plays, I think that's the one I would try to target. I think Erisson's a good goalie. I think the Washington goalies are good goalies too. And you know, neither team is really good offensively or defensively, but I do think Washington is a better team. So if you can get one of those goalies, that's probably the way I would go. My streamer of the week picks Samuel Erisson. He's 22% rostered. He's gonna get 2 starts. You're gonna have to really chew down and trudge through that Minnesota game. And you might even have to trudge through like a Washington game that could go either way. Like, those games get brawly. Those games get a little beefy. And that Minnesota game, like, I think Minnesota is a true to form good team that's going to give them a run for their money. And let me get back to the game grid here because I want to see if Minnesota also has a back-to-back in that series. No, they don't have a back-to-back this week. So, I mean, chances are you're going to get a nice fresh Gus. Maybe you get Fleury in that one. Fleury's played Philly a fuck ton of times from Pittsburgh. So he's got a read on us, and maybe there's some like old flame in there, that rivalry that he really wants to get out of him. And I'm going to throw Morgan Frost into the mix here. And just in terms of like a full week stream, if you really gun in to do that. But this is, and I really want to reiterate this at the bottom of the show here, is this is such a hard week to stream in. And I don't want anybody out there to like see somebody like the example that I used earlier, that, you know, Martin Nietzsche winds up on my bench next week. And, you know, maybe that'll change because I do think Nietzsche woke up, but that's another conversation. Yeah, you see these guys who are bottom of your roster, you're going to have a lot of guys playing on your bench this week. Because there are some heavy nights, like Tuesday, 16 games. That's every single team in the NHL, man. And then Saturday's got 14. So these are heavy games, heavy days. And you're going to have guys on the roster. There's going to be tough decisions when it comes to, you know, your sit-start decisions. And that's what the Discord's for if you guys want to hop in there. I got to talk to the boys when they're going to start up the sit-start Saturdays. But, I mean, we've got a Tuesday coming up here that's going to be harder than any Saturday that we've seen. So I don't know. Fedotov could be an option, especially if he's going to be up against Montreal. I think that one is is one worth checking out. Like Montreal has a good offense on them, but I think their defense is nothing short of miserable. So that might be a game that Philly can really let loose out there. So Morgan Frost, maybe one of the Flyers goalies. I think that Jake Allen spot start is a good one to target. And yeah, give me Scott Wedgwood and whatever Vegas goalie you can get your hands on that plays San Jose. I think those are the ones that are worth targeting. But I really want you guys to set your lineups early this week before making any get your Monday pickups in, right? Because everybody's going to be trying to dip into that one game on Monday. But that also means that most of your competition is going to be one or even two acquisitions down with 6 days to go in the week. So maybe you save it, maybe you use those for other spot starts, because I do really think there's going to be value if you cycle some of your goalie spots out. And if you run 3 goalies this week, drop your streamer spot and cycle goalies and see how that works. Cats leagues, I think maybe, save percentage goals allowed. I might not be into it, but those 2 that I highlighted, the Nashville, the Wedgwood, and the Vegas start, those are ones that I still would target, and the Jake Allen start. But that's it, guys. That's what I got for you in terms of the amount of words one guy can do for this one. So let me find the music, for the outro. And I'm not really going to leave, because I want to show off this website and all the stupid stuff I'm working on. Where is it? God, Raj has so many fucking musics here. I promise I'll get it. There it is. All right. Oh no, there's too many wires. I'm gonna fuck so much shit up if I try to do that. There's like a carnival going on over there. It's kind of nutsy. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me, guys. That's your week 3 preview. I guarantee there's stuff that I kind of forgot. I mean, I've been up for a long time, and it's just been a weird day. But yeah, you guys want to get at us, FHF Hockey on Twitter, and at FHF Hockey. What am I talking about? Hit me up in the Discord. Love you. All right, let me see if I can share my screen, if anybody's still hanging out. Where's it at? Yeah. There we go. I think this is, yeah. Okay, so this is the not production site. So like what I'm working on that I haven't pushed to public yet. So as the game grid loads, like you can see right here, like, LA versus Anaheim, there's a negative 100% chance that Anaheim's going to win it. And then you go down to LA and there's a negative 100% chance that LA is going to win it. So that doesn't mean anything to anybody, but I'm working on this. Hopefully it doesn't fuck up. Cool. So it worked. And what this is it's called a Poisson distribution. And I made like kind of a heat map out of it. So it shows the probability of each outcome of the game. So right here, it says there's a 5.52% chance that Anaheim scores 2 goals and LA scores 3. The most likely outcome apparently is going to be a 2-2 game at 6% probability. So I am going to start to work on, like, the things that I have to accomplish yet are getting it so that ties are impossible, so that if it does wind up on the fence, that it picks a side and it goes to that side, so that ties are a 0% probability, because obviously no game ends in a tie. But this is so cool. So every single game where Los Angeles, like every outcome where Los Angeles wins is, right here where LA beats Anaheim 1-0, and then it's every single one over here, and then it's every single one here starting at 2, every single one here starting at 3, at 4, at 5. So if I take all of the values of all of those cells, add them together, take the combined totals of all the ties, cut it in half, and then add it to LA, I'll get like a percent chance of how likely LA is to win this game. So it's kind of like this fun thing that I'll be able to add to the game grid here. That'll give us like a odds for a game, right? And then I'm thinking about bringing in, like, if I can figure out a way to scrape actual odds from like bookmakers and those things, and bring those in and kind of like blend it with mine, and then take credit for it all, like it's my brilliant thing. No, but like I think it'd be cool, because if we can get a better idea of like how games are going to go, and especially when it comes to like goal scoring, and then like what's behind everything here is a nutsy amount of databases where I have all the league averages at each different strength of like how many goals are scored at 5-on-5, how many goals are scored at on the penalty kill, on the power play. And then what I do is I take each team, and so this is each team's all strengths per game averages. I find out how, like, what percent of a game each team plays on the power play, what percent of each team plays on the penalty kill, what percent of each team, or what percent of each game each team plays at 5-on-5. So that's what I'm calling even strength, is I just pulled 5-on-5 data. And then, so like, say, let's throw Nashville versus the Islanders out there, right? So on average, Nashville plays 11% more power play time on ice than league average, right? But the Islanders play 15% more than average on the penalty kill. You'd be able to assume that there's a good chance Nashville sees 13 and change percent more than the average team on the power play. So like you kind of like, you get an idea of where the power play time on ice would be. And then you can take all that power play data, give it a 13% weight into the game. And then, the opposite for the Islanders, because for every power play, there's an equal amount of penalty kill time. And then you find out how much power play time, the Islanders are likely to have. And then you figure out the penalty kill time for that. And then everything else is going to be, quote unquote, 5-on-5. And then I add those all together, and then I add all strengths and divide it by 2. So it's just a little more rounded. And that's how I get these attack scores and defense scores for these teams. And then you take those scores, multiply them by like league average scoring, and you can get, this kind of like expected goals number. And then that's how you figure this stuff out. And it's been a lot of fun, frustrating as hell, but a lot of fun. Some other shit that I'm like kind of, in the background working on. I've been like putting this off, as you could tell, like all the fucking logos are fucked. I don't even know if it's working right now, but let's see. I'm pretty sure it's broken. So I should probably pull it off the public site. Yeah, it's broken. So this is supposed to be like, supposed to give you an idea of like where line combinations are for the full season. Because if you check out the shift charts, let's just pick today. Let's see what the Nashville lines looked like, right? Nashville ran. Damn, Marchessault on line 3. The fuck? Well, maybe not. No, I mean, Stamkos played a shit ton of time with Evangelista. So anyway, it takes these. This is just a 1-game sample of what the line combos actually were. So I like this because we know what like the beat writers put out there. We know what Daily Faceoff puts out there. They're going to have Marchessault on line 2. But if you come here, you look at it, he's actually, quote unquote, on line 3, because he spent 11 minutes and 58 seconds with Colton Sissons, and he spent 9 minutes and 11 seconds with Mark Jankowski. So he is a line 3 guy. So they're trying to figure some stuff out. And you can kind of see it here, like these 3x3 blocks of people. Those are your lines. And then down here, 10 minutes, Ryan O'Reilly and Roman Yossi shared. So you also wind up getting pairs. So this is the one I was working on, the line combo matrix. This is supposed to take like each game and then average it out and find out like over time what each team, like, if you wanted to know, what were the most like common lines in December, this is supposed to show you. But it's fucked. So that's cool. Oh my God. What are you talking about? Oh my God, I am. Is it still on the fucking... Yeah. All right. Yeah, you're right. I did the wrong one. So yeah, this is the shift chart here. So what was I doing? Tonight's games, Nashville. And then this is just like a histogram, chronological histogram of, and then you can click it and see like who was on the ice at what time. If you want to see who was on for the power play, Forsberg, Nyquist, Ryan O'Reilly, Lazan, who's apparently on the fucking power play today, Carrier. That's not even a power play. Okay, so Detroit was on the power play. That's why. So Raymond, Gustafsson, Kane, Larkin, and DeBrincat were all on the power play at this time. And that's where Larkin scored a goal. But anyway, so the line combinations, that's down here. Yeah, and it's got Marchessault right here on fucking line 3, which is strange. Because he played close to 12 minutes with Sissons, 9 minutes with Jankowski. Weird stuff. But yeah, I like this because it gives you like true line combos versus what Daily Faceoff is going to put out there, because I guarantee it's different. Let's check it out, right? Let's see. Nashville. Oh no. Okay, so that's what they had. I wonder if they must have had beat writers and stuff. That's what they stuck with too. Wouldn't have guessed, right? Let's see what else I was fucking around with. There's like that power play time on ice chart. I'm trying to come up with like this goalie shit. Which it gives you I forgot to change it for this fucking season. It's all last season's data. But anyway, that's some fun shit. But thanks for hanging out, guys. All right, let me get to some of these questions here, because you guys, I haven't checked this chat. What do we do with Miro Heiskanen? He's a cold as a Heineken. I think that's a good one to talk about for Tuesday trends. That's definitely one I want to talk about. I was going to talk about Dougie too again, but I think you got on the score sheet tonight, so maybe I don't have to talk about him. How many so many power play QB locks have been trashed so far? Heiskanen, Yossi, Dahlin, Bouchard, Hedman. Yeah, man. Tough. Every single one of them is going to rebound, and I think every single one of them is a good buy low at this point. You got to go for it. Yeah, sorry. I'm just seeing all these like, you're in the wrong tab, motherfucker. Quick question. If you could, or if you would, to grab I felt stoned enough fucking around on the wrong goddamn tabs and shit. So I don't know who he told you that to. It's just one that you really need to let go. First off. Anyway, guys, that's how I'm going to end the stream tonight. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you guys had fun. With a little bit of dicking around at the end. Figured out in terms of editing, because I got to cut all this shit out. It's still getting recorded. But thanks for hanging, guys. Love yous. I'll catch you next time.